Your team has been betrayed, Ethan. All your secrets compromised.
So first question I wanted to ask you was, you've had some amazing stunt scenes throughout this franchise, but I'm wondering if you feel like your magnum opus is catching popcorn in your mouth when Tom throws it.
Oh my gosh, so silly. It's fun. It's good to have fun on a set, and I think it adds to the trust that you need in order to be able to do these stunts together and travel the world together. You've got to be able to relax and have a laugh.
I feel like, though, he threw the popcorn perfectly. I feel like nobody else could do that the way he did, because everybody else was missing.
Right.
And he was like, I got you, and you were ready.
Oh, well, yes, sure. He's very, impeccable with whatever he does.
One thing I loved about this film is the scenes that you got to shoot in Svalbard. Mm-hmm. Not only were they physically majestic and amazing, but you got to have, without spoilers, of course, some really beautiful, quiet moments that are so necessary in telling a full story. But so I'm wondering for you as an actress, because there was so much in a look. It was a scene with Tom, but yeah, if you could sort of talk about it without spoilers.
I think we care about these action sequences because we care about the people in them, and the fact that this really is a film about a team and about friendship and personal sacrifice, choosing the greater good for the collective. And I love being there, particularly with Lucy, who plays Depisa. There was, we had to develop a kind of a shared a rapport and a relationship with each other that wasn't based on obviously speaking the same language, like how we were going to relate to each other, and how would the audience believe that although we didn't communicate verbally really with each other, that they would believe that we knew what the other person was thinking, and that we were working towards the same thing. And so just spending time with her and knowing that there would be quiet moments in the film, which is really necessary when something's so adrenalizing, just to have these moments for the audience to feel emotionally connected.
Yeah, and there's that beautiful underwater shot that is in trailers where you're going down in the water. First time you saw that scene, because it's so beautiful, like the silhouette is so beautiful of it. And then what did you have to put yourself through in order to get that shot?
I'd done my my PADI certification, so I was a qualified diver, and I love being underwater. It's the training, you discover quite quickly that it asks of you to be very calm and very quiet, so that you can control your breath. Because the minute you panic, you want to resurface. So just knowing that you can trust yourself in a pressured environment like that it's kind of a beautiful thing to discover. And I remember shooting that scene while it was on a Sunday, and I was doing 8 shows a week, playing in Much Ado About Nothing, a Shakespeare play on the stage in London. And then Sunday was my day to shoot some of the tank stuff. So it's, it was so exciting to kind of to go from one thing to another, and two very different worlds, and yet approach it in the same way, which is to turn up and do what's needed for the story.
I really felt in this one that Grace is the optimism of the film. Like, there was a lot of really close-up shots of your face where this was a different Ethan. He was a lot heavier in a sense. Mm-hmm. He had the weight of the world on his shoulders, as he always does, but it felt like a different Ethan that we've seen before, where everything has been, the culmination is weighing on him. And I felt like when we came to your face, did you have those conversations with Christopher, or was that something you thought about?
I do feel like this film is accumulation of everything that's gone before, so there is a sense of sort of an emotional weight and a gravitas to it. I'm sort of just, as an actor in this in particular, I'm responding instinctively to what's in front of me and trying lots of different things, really. So it wasn't until I saw the final edit that I saw what they had pieced together as they felt was the most effective for Grace. So it's wonderful for me to see, because I see it like an audience member, just kind of not knowing what it's going to be like until the
Probably
final.
You gave so many different performances within your performance that you're like, oh, that's what you decided to get. That's nice. I love hearing that. Why do you keep stealing things from set? Keys, pills,
so far, I was just taking my job very seriously.
She's very.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
was a
people
thief,
are sort of
therefore,
becoming.
I didn't know what it's like to steal things before, so I thought I had to find out for myself. It was the prop masters kind of knew that I was really into kind of. I had so much admiration for the kind of level of detail that was put onto these sets. You'd open up a drawer and there was like documentation and, props and folders and pens and fossils and all this kind of fun stuff in every set that you went on that was relevant to the world that set was creating. And so I just had a real appreciation for the set design. I think that I took a bit too far.
Too much. Did you take the key?
I got a key. I got the key. I got a poison pill. I got salt and pepper shaker. I got an ashtray, a watch, a necklace. I mean, like, took loads of stuff.
Are they on display at home, or are they tucked away?
They're sort of like hidden throughout the house in various different little boxes and drawers.
So your house is like Easter eggs
Yeah.
of Mission Impossible. Go
Exactly.
through and find all the different clues.
Yeah.
First day, last day on set. First day in the first mission you were in versus your last day of set. If you could compare the two.
The last day of set, I shot the first appearance of Grace in the second movie. So everything obviously is shot out of sequence. But I remember that last day on set, Tom said that movies is not something I do, it's who I am. And it's so true. I see him showing up every single day, working very committed, but also wearing it lightly. Like he's a very approachable, warm actor. You can feel that on camera. You feel that in real life. And he loves making movies, and so that feeling is contagious.
So contagious. Would you like it to continue? Because there's so much is it going to continue, is it not? Regardless of whether it is, would you like it to?
I think that audiences have to decide for themselves. Yeah. I think Tom will continue to push himself, and he has so much range. When I think of things like Born the 4th of July, to Tropic Thunder, to Jerry Maguire, to a Mission Impossible franchise, there's no genre, a medium he hasn't excelled in. And so I can't wait to see what he does next.
For every life you tried to save, you gambled millions more.
Simon,
yes.
You have said that for whatever reason you've known Tom for 20 years, and yet when you text him, your wife says you giggle. So will you demonstrate the giggle for us today?
Well, if he texts me, if we're sitting watching TV and my phone beeps and I pick it up and it's Tom, I'll go, because as much as he is Tom Cruise the person to me, and we all know him well as a human being, it's still funny because it's Tom Cruise the movie star.
Yep.
That the world thinks they know, and so it's just, and my wife calls Tom my boyfriend. She's like, who's that, your boyfriend? Mind you, she says that when Nick Frost texts me as well. So
you have a few boyfriends.
Yeah,
You're cheating. We don't like
I'm
this.
so fickle.
I love it. I love that you also said that Tom Cruise, the world thinks they know.
Yes.
What about Tom? Do you know that you can share with the world?
He's just a lot more normal than, as of course he would be. It's a silly thing to say, but
he can be very goofy and
he's so goofy and silly and mischievous, but he's a movie star in the really classic sense, in that he is able to curate his own image in a way that just maintains a mystery and a mystique, and he has the last laugh because everyone's desperate to know about him.
We're like,
yeah.
everything he does, we're like this. You have become like a daredevil yourself.
Oh,
233 total
jumps. Yeah,
and
as
9
of
with
today.
Tom, high altitude.
Yes, no, we did one high altitude one, but we did like 9 jumps total the same day. And then he flew back flew back home with his own plane. I mean, he flew the plane himself.
Okay, so
of
what at
course.
a high altitude? How does that differ from just the regular 233 that you do?
So I've done a few actually, but so of course it's like higher altitude, and so at some point there's like less oxygen, so you have to have like the oxygen like little tube in your mouth, and you have more time for the free fall, so you can like just like dance in the sky or like hold hands or like whatever you want to do. It's fun.
You danced with Tom in the sky?
I mean, back then I was just getting my license, so I didn't really know the positions and all that, but now I can do more things.
You should see on her Instagram, it's amazing. She does like ballet in the sky. It's just, it's
No, the most fun was to do a rodeo. It's like when you ride a skydiving, a guy who's like wearing a wingsuit.
Did you do that?
Yeah, you exit the plane at the same time on his back, and then you go like that, and then you go back to horizontal, and then you're just like, you're just like squeezing with your knees the skydiving rig that he has, and it's like a motorcycle. You can like just like kind of navigate. Yeah, it's like flying a dragon. I mean, I haven't
insane.
flown a dragon yet, but I would love to do that.
House of the Dragon season, whatever. Mom's ready. Okay, I have to joke with you a little bit because I saw some behind the scenes where you always show up with the wrong temperature clothing on. Tom's like, wait a second, it's 90, you're in a parka, and now, so how did you deal with Svalbard, and why does this keep happening to you?
Yeah, I need to do better in Svalbard.
Svalbard. There's no S, just one S, not two.
Svalbard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Longyearbyen Svalbard.
Don't even get me started on that. Longyearbyen. The Hurtigruten.
Oh, you say it better than me. It's a bien.
Longyearbyen.
Yeah.
They luckily they packed all our clothes for us, so I didn't have to freeze too much.
Does it bond you when the weather is cold or when it's extreme? Like, I want to know, is there a text chain? Because, Tom, you have to be on set being like, everything's great. I'm not tired. Everything's wonderful. I'll go again. But within each other, are you guys like, oh, my God, this is a little much.
We do have a lot. We do have various group chats.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a Svalbard group chat, which was us three and Hayley and Lucy and Rolf. We were all in Svalbard together, living on a ship. It was more the kind of, the situations that bonded us than the weather, because we found ourselves in so many crazy places, doing so many crazy things. And we had to kind of hang on to each other just to, know that it was really happening. So
And played bananagrams and...
Yeah, Hayley
Yeah.
loves that.
Yeah, we've
loves
had a
all the
lot of
games.
game nights and loved that. Especially after rap, we would just go to the what do you call that the
galley
the
on the
galley
ship.
and on the ship, and we would just play all night.
poker. We play poker with like chocolates.
Oh, stakes are high.
Rolf Saxon, who plays Don Lowe, is a very good poker player.
What do you think? You know what I loved about the last behind the scenes that they did when Tom was doing the jump, and you were all standing off to the side, and your reactions are some of my favorite things about the Mission franchise. Did you bear witness to anything this time? Because he's underwater. I don't know if you got to bear witness to any of it.
I mean,
were able to
unfortunately,
see
we
the-
were not there in South Africa when he was in the sky. It was like a very reduced crew, but we would visit set when he was doing the underwater sequence.
stuff, and that's like to watch it on screen. You like he's holding his breath, but you're also like. And I found myself like getting kind of dizzy because I didn't realize I was holding my breath for so long while he was under there, and I ended up drowning on land, and he survived.
What?
I don't know how. Because I was holding my breath for so long, but he was still.
But that rig, the gimbal that we
Yeah.
of the submarine,
Yeah,
it's
it
the
was
biggest.
impressive.
I mean, it was you walked up so many stairs, and then this thing, suspended over water so that it could turn and go into the water. The most impressive piece of film scenery I've ever seen.
I heard you say you shed a tear at the first screening of the film. And what I love about this is there's no moment that has no emotion behind it. Even a stunt, there's so much story and emotion behind it. So I just, you've been in with this franchise for 20 years. What was it like sort of having that moment, and why did you get so...
I mean, I got quite emotional after I shot my final scene, just saying goodbye to people. But seeing it on the big screen, it was a combination of, wow, we made this. Yeah. And also, it's an emotional film. There's some genuine emotional stakes in it, and it got me.
Do you feel like, I'll ask the two of you, do you feel like this franchise should continue? Do you want it to continue?
I would love it only so that I can hang with them and travel all around the world.
You made 3 films with Tom now. You got to make a 4th.
I have to. It's like high school. I did freshman, sophomore, senior. I need to graduate, Tom. I won't be a high school dropout now. Come on, Tom.
That diploma.
Come on, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep watching these movies. I would love to keep being a part of it. But yeah, of course.
I feel like I love the intensity that you, like the face guard that you bring, because Tom brings some great face guard, but you bring some great face guard. But as a fighter, do you feel like from the last one, because your movements are so precise, I feel like you are made to like lead an action film.
I would love to do that at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah, with the right people, of course.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that the 2 roles that Pom is very famous for, Mantis and
Yeah.
they could not be more different.
More different, yeah.
I mean, it's hard to even think.
And they
that,
rime too. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Mantis,
They-
Paris.
all roles that Pom plays have to end in is. This is the rule.
I love it. Real quick, your favorite memory from this that you're going to take away from this last film?
Oh my God, it's so impossible to find it.
It's impossible.
That
I
is
love
a
the
mission
pun.
impossible.
Go! Pick something. I can't think of anything.
I
Help
think for
me.
me it's Svalbard. It's just being out there on the frozen sea, seeing polar bears in the wild. It was just incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Mine would be South Africa when we're in the back of the truck and we're driving up, and you have the helicopter, and you have the AD, and then you have Tom.
Yeah, and
driving
Tom
with
was
Paris,
driving, and
with
it was so
Pom there.
dangerous. The
And
road was like just like a cliff, basically.
Yeah, we're in the
but
back,
with
but
Tom,
it-
you're just you feel safe.
It's
You're
just
like,
that
yeah.
moment where I was like, "Yo, we're really." I was like, it felt like we were in a movie, but they look at me and laugh, and like,
What happened is Tarzan was looking around him, and like it was also incredible. We had a helicopter chasing the car,
No, it
and
was really
the
cool.
the setting, and Tarzan literally went, "Man, it's like we're in a movie." And we're all like, "Tarzan, we are in a movie."
Yeah, but I think also it's like the first time when we get out of the car, it just it was like the team shot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we all had our weps and
You were
stuff.
kind of like the Avengers in a way. You had that
But
slow-mo,
better.
Well, better.
but better.
But real, no tights.
I thought you were all going to say catching popcorn in your mouth at the premiere, but whatever.
That was like 2 days ago.
I know, yeah. You need to let it simmer for a little bit first.
Yeah.
Into the anyway. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Nice
Great
to
to
see
see
you.
you.
Everything you've done has come to this.
It's one thing to be up in a plane. It's another thing to be up in a plane that is out in the open.
Oh, yes.
So tell me about that.
It was daunting.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, there
Yeah.
are moments that I had some sort of protection, with gear. And then there's moments where all that goes away.
Wow.
And it's just you, a plane, and the elements. Wind coming at you.
Yes.
Full force. Tears sometimes forming. But it was just so much fun.
Yeah. I
You're
bet.
going to work and you're like an adult child going, "Wee! I can't believe I'm doing this."
And you got Ethan Hunt coming at you.
Oh my gosh,
So you got to be witness, closer up than anybody, even more than McHugh.
very close, because at times there was no room. So we had to crunch into a small space for him to get out. Well, anyway, I don't want to tell too much.
No, don't tell too much of the story. But
Yeah.
as somebody who got to witness the level that he takes it to and what he was able to do, can you describe that?
All the adjectives have been used, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Epic and thrilling. But when you do it for a living, it becomes focus. Don't forget, don't get lost in the beauty and the panorama, and remember your mission. And your mission is crucial because you cannot half what it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to stay at attention. You have to know. If you forget a certain aspect of it, or you don't have the right props, you got to go back and do it again.
Right.
You don't
wanna
want
get
to
it
do
wrong.
that. No.
Yeah.
It's millions of dollars are
Yeah.
at stake in this. It's so you have to stay focused, have fun, but don't lose
The mission.
the mission.
You know what? I love that in the beginning of the film, Tom is famous for his run, and you get a movie run.
That's right. I forgot that. OMG, because a lot of people ask me, what stunts did you do? Well, Tom gets to do the running. And you just reminded me there's one sequence where I also do it. I hope I did well. I
You
haven't
did
seen
amazing. So what was your technique? Because he has his hands like this technique.
Yeah.
What was your...
it.
Did he give you tips about it, or you just found your own?
He didn't. I mean, he's trained with professional
Yeah.
runners and things like that. I just have always loved running. And then one thing helped. I watched the playback, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because you want to make it elegant. Yeah. Because you want to reflect your character. Your character's not going to be like, you know what I mean?
Gabriel never
This
did
guy
that.
is lethal. Exactly. And he's trained. He's trained just as much. He comes from Ethan's past. They were allies,
You
contemporaries.
upped the ante in this one.
You think so?
Yeah. Do you feel that? Like, how did you feel? Because you become even more the focus. And I felt you understand him more in a way, but you also fear him more in a much bigger way.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's, that's amazing that you would say all that because, I don't know. I haven't seen the film yet. I will see it at the premiere for the first time. And you build these characters as best you can. And ultimately, it's an entertainment, we can't get too heavy. It's fun. It's a release. But you make it fun by making it credible. And you make it credible by taking it seriously. You see what I'm saying? I learned early on in my life in acting, if you are interested, you will be interesting. So, there are so many dimensions as to how he gets under Ethan's skin because he knows him. And there's no one that you fear more than someone who knows you for better and for worse. And I know him and I'm getting under his skin. And that for a villain is just juicy fun.
If we want to bring the world back from the brink, we have to deal with him.
You have kind of a different task in the movie that I would say compared to a lot of the returning cast members. And that is that you get these up close and personal, very dramatic scenes with Tom. I'm wondering for you, what does he bring to a scene? Because he, to me, has the best face card. Like movie star wise, do you know what I mean? He has it down. So when you're locking, what's happening?
Yeah,
Tell me about
try
that.
not to get caught up in his eyes watching what he's doing.
I know. I did that
all
today
this
talking
subtlety.
to him.
Almost like, I'm watching. I am literally inches away from your face.
Okay, you have
and every take a little something different. So it's like, okay, let's go for it. Without saying anything, but just
know
in the scene, having fun, the ability to play, to pivot, to do, just work about.
Well, there's a line in the film where you say there's always another choice.
Oh.
So I feel like that. I was wondering about that. Mm-hmm. Do you do a lot of those? Do you do a lot of takes, or you just sort of
We do a lot of takes, and I appreciated it. And he was like, he was down for every single one, every difference. I was like, well, you're gonna have a heck of a time choosing, because I'm gonna be all over the place.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you watch it for the first time, are you ever surprised by the takes that they choose? Like with your performance, do you watch it and go, oh?
Well, I can't remember, specific, but I know that you did have a chance to just play around with subtleties and how you would approach it. And so, yeah, you're always interested. And not just for you, but for everyone as well, I'm sure. So it's interesting to see how they calibrated or what they chose.
Yes.
Because McHugh will see you do something, he'll say, try it this way, or let's do it again, and you would be like so amped on it. You're like, okay.
That enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. They have such enthusiasm for filmmaking. I want to circle back. So when you're this far away from Tom, what are you noticing? Like, what is it about him that is just, because I never get past it. I don't know whether it was because I watched him as a kid growing up. I don't know what it is.
Aww.
I never get past it.
Oh, he's just the kindest eyes, his eyes, his spirit, shines through.
Yeah, and you both, have been doing this for such a long time. I'm going to make the most obvious comparison, but playing the Queen of Wakanda versus the President. Mm-hmm. How would you compare those two characters?
Well, the Queen, I guess the nation is her family. Queen Ramonda also had a core of advisors, as does Erica. She has advisors. And but I think Erica took her own counsel because her advisors had their, underlying motives or fears. Yeah. But one's days will be short, maybe a number of years, 8 at the most. And Queen Ramonda, she has, been queen for the breath of her life. So she's seen them, advisors come and go.
I always hear about how Christopher and Tom write for people. They write to them. So I'm wondering for you from the last film, because it's been a bit since we've seen your character, how, when you read that page, how do you think she evolved? How do you think maybe they fed into, using you as a person and creating that character around you?
I think they gave me the opportunity to be, which I'm always interested in, strength juxtaposed with vulnerability, and to be able to carry all those things and not lose your authority,
Yeah. How do you
process.
Do you feel like this should be the last one? Everybody's talking about maybe it's going to be the last one. How do you feel about it?
It's a franchise that's brought a lot of thrills.
Yeah.
A lot of adventure, a lot of awe. So if it continues, I think that'd be wonderful. But if not, we've had 8 incredible missions,
Incredible.
Missions that,
and they keep upping the ante with everyone. I feel like they get better and better and better in terms of like the depth of storytelling and the scope of storytelling. Yes. Do you feel ever like, I want to do a stunt? Give me a stunt, Tom. Let me do it. You don't want it? Okay.
Not these stunts, no.
Oh, wow, because I feel it's one of those things, because I know Christopher actually stepped on the wing of the plane for this one. He actually shot underwater. I don't know if it gives you the bug when you're around it that you actually want to be a part of it.
No, not the water. I've done stunts in water. That's a lot. That's a lot. No, I've done stunts on planes. That's a lot, But
Yeah.
not his version of a stunt. No.
Yeah, I actually loved your character in this one. I love that we get a little bit more of her story, like her history. And there's something she writes on a note card at one point in the movie. And it's like, I felt from you sort of that backstory that you created for yourself. So what sort of backstory did you create for yourself? Because we get little glimpses of it.
You do a little bit into her, her family
Yeah.
and her, her progeny and, and where he is and how he would be potentially affected by all of this. It's not just the people in the room, it's everyone outside of the room, that she cares greatly about. You imagine that she is the leader of, the free world, what she's had to overcome potentially to sit in this seat, how incredibly difficult that must have been, but what incredible change people were ready for and took.
I think that was one of the beautiful things, is you felt the people around her, like Nick Offerman's character. What she says goes, and nobody questions it. And you have, without spoilers, you have a really big decision to make in the film. And a lot hinges on it. Can you talk about filming that scene?
Just Chris would talk you through it. He would talk you through it, and in every opportunity, you were just trying to fill it with, enough, pathos, drama, history, awareness of if you did, what might happen, and do you have time to reconsider, and who do you have, who do you trust, what are your instincts telling you? A lot of times we ignore our instinct, get
Yes.
into our head, listen to the
Always.
voices, the noise, the noise about. But if you can still yourself and listen to your instinct, and I think she does that.
Yeah.
And it's just as thoughtful and powerful.
Our lives are the sum of our choices. This was your calling.
First of all, I wanted to ask you, what was like the quintessential Tom Cruise moment that you had working with this film? Either a favorite moment or the moment you were like awestruck. What was that moment for you that you're going to tuck in your back pocket and keep forever?
There are two things. One is off screen and one is on.
Love
Off
it.
screen was sitting next to him after I'd met him about 5 minutes previously, sitting next to him in a Black Hawk helicopter, being taken out to the aircraft carrier, sitting next to him and just thinking, what is going on? And the other side of him was Chris McQuarrie, ridiculously just magnificent director, but also wrote The Usual Suspects. So I was just in my element. And then, of course, on camera, there's elements of our scene that are a two-hander.
Yes.
That was a great pleasure, to have that moment of stillness with him and see how he works, the focus he has.
He's walking with you. What is
Oh, yeah.
that like?
Oh, you've been well and truly tommed.
I just talked to him in London, and you never get over it. You just never get over it.
No. Really.
It's amazing. I'm calling this summer Hannah Waddingham summer
Oh.
because you have a Mission Impossible movie and a Disney movie kicking off this summer, both opening Memorial Weekend.
I know.
How does that feel?
Do you know what
is
it
your
feels? Chic. It feels chic, man. I know. What are the chances? Like, I wanted to get involved in this so much as well because my brother is the biggest Mission Impossible geek on the planet, and my daughter is a massive Lilo and Stitch fan. So to be offered both of these things, that was like a no-brainer. I had no idea they were going to be released on the same day, though. I mean, that's pretty epic, isn't it?
So you're taking the family and you're going to go do both,
Yeah.
on the same day.
Yeah, there you go. One for you, one for him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this for you, by the way. Incredible. And you have a lot of other things coming out. It's your summer. Okay, so I'm wondering if Ethan Hunt and Ted Lasso swapped jobs. How do you think Ted Lasso would be as an MI6, like Tom Cruise doing all of that crazy
stuff? I think it would be
stuff?
absolute chaos.
Would the mission be accomplished?
I feel like he'd look like one of the village people with his moustache, but Tom Cruise's glasses and a cap. Imagine the hairy caterpillar and then the glasses and a cap. Yeah, I'm not sure that's
He
the one.
wouldn't be inconspicuous.
And then Ethan, in the press conferences, I think the entire, assembled press would swoon and we'd have no story to tell.
You'd have no story to tell, but he'd have them doing stunts on the soccer field.
Yeah,
They'd be
possibly.
spinning around. It would be like a whole new league, right? What are you hoping for season 4? We're all excited that it's coming back.
Do you know what? I've not thought about it too much. Our writers' room are so exquisite. We are in the very safest hands, and I'm just excited to see what they come up with. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a sizable, it's probably a bit of a problem by now, ownership of Rebecca and who she is and where I want her to go. The buck stops with Sudeikis. Wherever she ends up will be glorious, but the first thing is that she finds her happiness again. She finds her strength and her center again after being so unceremoniously dumped by an a-hole.
Yes, we've all been there. We all know that. Wondering, Tom has sung before in a film. I loved Stacey Jack's Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
You're a singer. He said he wants to do a musical. If you were to do a duet or a musical, what would you like to sing with Tom or do with
Oh
Tom?
my gosh, I don't know. I have to say, I do love his voice. I love how musical he is. I think we need to try and find something that the man's not good at. Because it's,
Have you found anything?
I don't know. Can he cook? I don't know. Can he cook? Can he do the washing? I'm going to have to ask him. I'm going to go, listen, my friend, we're trying to work out what exactly it is. I can see him grinning now already if I asked him that. Yeah, maybe he's just really bad at cooking. Maybe he burns
We'd love
toast.
to see him flip
Who
a
knows?
pancake.
Exactly. He'd probably do it and it would come down and just be beautifully already, prepared with cream. And he's a special man for sure.
When the need for certainty is absolute and the odds are deemed impossible, the mission falls to him.
This name McHugh, did he coin the phrase? Like, when did that start?
Yes, he did. And I that started, I think, probably on Valkyrie, the first film we did together. There were too many people named Chris. And every time you said Chris, 4 people would respond. So I think somewhere along there I became McHugh.
Okay, because it's such a term of endearment, and now we all call you McHugh.
Yeah, which
and the
I
way
like
he says it, by the way.
Yes, and the way he says it. And when I was a kid, I always wanted a nickname, and none of them ever stuck. I'm grateful they didn't, because none of them were very
Well, what were they?
nicknames.
Now I want to know.
No, I don't believe I do. But it was, I thought that was very interesting when people started to call me that, and then suddenly when I hear my name, when I hear Chris said on set, I know not to respond.
You know they don't barely know you.
I know they're talking to some other Chris.
So anyway, McHugh, as we go on with the interview, Tom told me he did this again this time. I said, on this one, did you say we can do better at the end of the first first screening? And I was like, I thought with this one he was going to say we did it. We did it, but he said it again.
No, said it again. Yes.
And do you feel like?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, there are things I look at in the film and know we could do better.
Like?
Oh, pick a moment in the story. It can always be shorter. It can always be clearer. It can always be done with less dialogue. It can always be funnier. It can always be sadder. It can always be more epic. When you're making these movies, you are constantly fighting against all of the limitations being put against you, and that's why we do it.
It's kind of what we do at the end of interviews. I should have asked that. I should have done this. I should not enough time.
And as my father would say, don't shit on yourself.
That's a great one. I'm going to use that from now on.
Please do.
I think one thing I love about watching the little bit of BTS that we get to see, on the last one, we saw, my favorite moment of yours was when Tom did the first jump and you were like, I heard you almost threw up this time.
Yeah.
There was one sequence that nobody knows about until they see the film.
Yes.
Was that the sequence?
It was. I was being metaphorical in my description of that, but it was heart-stopping. It was quite terrifying, yes.
I feel like, I know you always wanted to do the underwater scenes. That was something you wanted to do. He wanted to do the aerial scenes.
Yes.
What I loved about it was the eeriness, because there's that opening shot where he goes down and you as the audience are at the edge of your seat because you feel like, would I ever do that? Could I ever do that? How did you establish that that was going to be your opening shot? And then the suit is just kick-ass. It's like Batman or something.
Oh yeah, the Mark 7 dive suit. It all is a matter of practical storytelling. Myself and Eric Jenderson, when we were writing the sequence, doing the research for it, how he leaves one submarine and descends to another. They all just presented themselves with certain inherent visuals, but then adding things like the submarine behind the submarine,
Right.
and all of the complications. The fun of these sequences, they never start with so big. They never start as big as they become. It always starts with a very simple concept, and we just start adding problems to Ethan, and that's where things get out of
Well,
hand.
this is the film that felt the most to me like it earned the title, because there were so many moments that felt impossible, including the airplane sequence.
Yeah.
Because I feel like on the last one, there was the jump. You got the jump and that was it. This one, you're telling story as he is being swung upside down on a plane. You're grinning because you're like, how complicated was that for you as a director to get all of those shots knowing you had to tell a story within, because he's fighting Esai's character
Yes.
throughout.
Yes, a fight on an airplane.
That you
on
stepped onto the wing of.
Yes.
Congratulations.
There is an hour-long answer to how complicated all of it is. Just take away the physicality of it. Take away how physically punishing it is on Tom, how physically exhausting it is being on the wing, fighting wind that's hitting him at 140 miles an hour. He's not really able to breathe. He's inhaling fumes. How to mount the camera on the plane, and the number of angles you need. And the plane can only fly with 2 cameras on it at a time. Designing those camera rigs, determining where all those shots, how all those shots incorporate into the story, was a really exhausting math problem that we confronted every day. It was very hard.
And you stepped out on the wing. You also shot underwater, so you really immersed yourself. Can you give us a sense of stepping out on the wing? What is that experience like?
Anybody who's driven in a car has at one point or another
Yeah.
stuck their hand out of the window.
And it goes...
You have to imagine that you're doing that with your whole body, and you're doing it at 140 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's like stepping out of this world and into another world entirely.
Wow.
Your interaction with the environment around you, your body does not respond in the way you expect your body to respond. You're breathing, but you're not really getting oxygen. I don't know how else to describe it, except it's like spending a few minutes on another planet.
And you're addicted, and you love it.
It is habit forming.
Did you decide the opening title credits? I felt like it was a throwback to like a 70s TV series, because you kind of had a montage. You're grinning. I love that you're grinning in this question, because that's really how it felt to me.
I like that you're feeling a throwback. Yes, it's the guys from Filmograph who we do our titles with. They've been working with us since Rogue Nation, and it's been an evolution with each one to something a little more contemporary. And when I watched their first presentation, I said, let's go way back. Let's go back to Saul Bass and Alfred Hitchcock, and go back to much older, much more analog movies. Right. And they nailed it.